You can tell it's got paper thin edges, just razor thin. Almost all of them have no grinding here, or very little. Most of them are just fresh and sharp right on the margins here. They're probably just hafting them in something really simple and not tying them up. Almost all of them have some sort of distinct area of thickness in here, and most of them go in sets, 4 finished sets of heavy pressure, and this side would be done last. So this side and this side, those flakes run into these sides. Usually all sets are base to tip. Quite often these right hand sides will be tip to base, but almost all the time these are base to tip, and you can tell by the overlap. You can see how these flakes are overlapping the ones under them on both sides. Usually the pressure tests on the base are ear to ear, and there'll be one side that's done and then the other side. This is a nice piece. It broke because it has some junk. You can see why it broke. It could have broke while they were reworking it, or I'm not quite sure why this one broke. But anyhow, let's try to make one of these. I'm going to make one with a little bit more stronger. My edge isn't going to be quite as straight. I'm going to make one that's got a little bit of a more of a toothed edge, more flakes more ripped out. I actually salvaged this antler from the bottom of my flint knife and tool bag. And you can see how it's got some marrow in here. So as I get into this and I start work, I might have to just wait till another day because I don't have any. My grinder broke. So anyhow, I'm going to turn this off now, and I'm going to do a quick segments on the. I'm going to make a hammerstone preform. I'm going to try to do all hard hammer percussion on my preform. Try to knock it down to about 5-to-1 and try to keep it at a couple inches wide before I do any pressure sets, hopefully a little bit more than a couple inches wide. And this is the chunk I'm going to start with. This is a big piece of Burlington, and this is the grade that it's raw and it's got some toughness to it. So we'll see if I can't do one. So you need a pretty good rock to make one of these, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, I've got this camera propped up here. I've made my preform. I used antler percussion on the preform. Let me zoom out here. Oops. I've changed my light around. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I spent a lot of time on this preform trying to get it smooth. I might have a little bit of more thickness than I need right here, but you tend to thin them down fast. So I haven't done a sloan in a long time, so let's see if I haven't forgotten anything. I basically have a lenticular preform that is as smooth as I could get it. It's got a couple blemishes on it, but it's really important that it's super smooth. I turn my edges just a little bit towards the side. I'm going to flake first. I'm going to do 4 sets of pressure The first set's base to tip on this side, and then the second 2 sets on these corresponding sides. I might do some punch basal thinning when I'm done. I probably have an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes in this preform. This is raw Burlington. It's on the tough side, and my antler isn't so hot, so you might see me curse, and I'll probably be grunting and sweating like Monica Seles in the 5th set tiebreaker here halfway through this thing. These things can be frustrating, but it's an awesome feeling doing these things when they work. And I'm going to show you how I use the stone, how that's going to come in handy, completely control my angle and my flakes and have these things come off clean. With this raw Burlington like this, when you pressure flake it, and when you're trapping in leather, you get step terminations everywhere. This is tough stone, so this is anvil stone is going to keep the leather off there. This is about how sharp my tip is. When I start, if this thing keeps flaking a whole lot, because I'm going to be pressing as hard as I can after I get a few flakes into this, then I'll have to just work off a duller tip. I mean, the pattern is dependent on the material and the quality of your flakers. I mean, you can't throw a tight pattern that's just flawless without the right material and the right flaker. So I'll gauge how good this antler's going, and then I'll have to modify it. Getting started is a little bit tricky, and then once the flakes, I'll give a rundown on how it all went when it's all done, and I'll just go. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking about how I'm flipping. You're just going to have to watch, and then when I get done, maybe I'll figure out an editing feature where I can talk over as I go, because obviously I'm going to be, you kind of have to hold your breath on when you do these things. So let me get the camera right here. That's obviously 2. I've got this. I've got a ladder behind me that this camera is on, and it's. Oh yeah. This camera is so nice. I've got this little screen I can look at. Okay. I'm a little bit nervous, actually. I don't know why. These things are nerve-wracking because you've got a lot of time in the preform, and you want to do a good one, and you have to build them. The thickness on them and the width and how you start. Sometimes it's like you bite off more than you can chew. You're building a preform that you can't pressure flake, no matter how technically well you do everything. So, depending on how well I start and how these flakes start going, hopefully I've got enough. I haven't been doing any exercise lately, so hope I don't herniate myself trying to impress you guys. All right, let's do it. First flake little. Okay, there's the first. Oops, the first one to get started. And we'll step and overlap. I'm going to be really upset if you guys, if I'm in the way. As I'm looking down as it's not back at the camera as I think some of this. There's a little spacer flake kick up. You see that? The little kick up. And the second push. I'm going to twist my tool a little bit. I'm going to build pressure, and I'm going to give it a last little oomph. There's the second one. These are a little wide. They're a little bit too wide, so I'm going to